Welcome back to the channel, y'all. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. This channel is about tales of the Atchafalaya swamp. Please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. It helps more than you know. With that, I'll go ahead and get started with this story. This episode is titled Swamp Witch of Blackwater Bayou. Folks around southern Louisiana know there are places that don't show up on any map. Hidden beyond the winding channels and forgotten waterways lies Blackwater Bayou, a stretch of swamp so old and untamed that even seasoned fishermen avoid it after sunset. Cypress trees rise from the dark waters like ancient sentinels draped in Spanish moss that sways without the wind. And deep within those black waters, they say, a witch still walks among the shadows. They call her Mama Celeste. I first heard her name from my grandfather. He spent his life running trot lines and trapping in the basin. He was a man who feared nothing. Not hurricanes, not cottonmouths, not 12-foot alligators. But whenever someone mentioned Mama Celeste, he'd warn them, do not say that name out loud. Do not whistle after dark, he'd say. And if an old woman calls your name from the swamp, do not answer it. I laughed when I was younger. One summer, I found out it wasn't just a folklore. It happened during one of the hottest Louisiana had ever seen. I was running my boat through a narrow bayou searching for a fishing camp that had supposedly been abandoned years ago. I thought I would use it for the next few nights while I hung bush lines and let them hang out all night and check them the next morning. Further I traveled, though, the stranger the basin became. Places I knew well, I now hardly recognized. The air felt heavy. No birds sang. Even the insects seemed quiet. There was no bullfrogs. None of the sounds the swamp usually makes. And people who know the swamp know that it is rarely quiet. Then I saw it. A small shack perched on stilts above the water. It wasn't on any map. Bundles of dried herbs hung from the porch rails. Strange symbols had been carved in the cypress knees surrounding the cabin. Hundreds of glass bottles dangled from the trees, turning slowly in the wind, and didn't make a sound. I should have turned back and left right then and there, but instead, curiosity got the better of me. I pulled up and stepped onto the wooden dock. The front door creaked open before I touched it. Inside, next to a blaring fire, sat an old woman, dressed all in black. Her silver hair spilled down her shoulders, and one cloudy eye stared directly into mine, while the other seemed to look somewhere far beyond this world. You should not be here, she said. Her voice sounded like rustling leaves. I tried to apologize and leave. But before I could, she said, you've already brought death here with you. I stopped cold. What do you mean? The old woman lifted a kettle from the fire. I mean, something followed you through the swamp. At first, I thought she was crazy. Then I heard it. A splash, heavy. Another splash. Slow footsteps moved through the waist-deep water outside the cabin. The witch extinguished every candle. Do not look through the windows, she whispered. The footsteps circled the shack. Thump, thump, thump. Wood groaned beneath the stilts. A stench drifted inside. Rotting fish, mud, something dead left too long in the summer heat. The footsteps stopped beneath the floor. Silence settled over the swamp. Then came a scraping sound. Long claws dragged slowly across the underneath of the cabin. I could barely breathe. The old woman reached into a pouch and scattered powder into the fire. Blue flames erupted from the embers. Outside, something growled. It was not an alligator. It was not a bear. It sounded almost human, but not. The witch began to speak in old Cajun French, words I could not understand. The growling grew louder. The cabin shook. The bottles hanging outside began ringing all at once. Then came the scream, a terrible howl filled with rage and pain. The thing crashed through the swamp, tearing through brush and snapping branches as it fled deeper into the basin. Hours passed before Maman Celeste relit the candles. What was that? I finally asked. She stared into the flames for a long time. Something older, she said, than the stories themselves. It feeds on fear and follows those who don't belong where they are wandering. You killed it? I asked. She shook her head no. Her cloudy eye met mine. I only reminded it whose swamp this is. It was quiet the rest of the night. Then, just after sunrise, she walked me back to my boat. Don't come out here again, she warned. What if people need your help? She smiled at me sadly and said, they rejected my help years ago. I pushed away from the dock, and when I looked back, the shack was gone. No old lady stood there, no dock, no porch, no bottles, no sign anyone or any shack had ever been there. Only open water and ancient cypress trees. Even today, old fishermen from the Atchafalaya Basin leave small offerings tied to the branches in that area. Bits of pretty ribbons, pretty flowers, shiny coins polished so smooth you could see your reflection in them. Some say it's superstition. Others say it's respect. Because when hurricanes roll across Louisiana and lost children somehow find their way back home, when fishermen survive storms that should have and could have taken their lives, wherever something terrible moves through this basin and suddenly disappears, people whisper the same words. Maman Celeste is still out there, watching from the shadows beneath the moss-covered cypress trees. And if you hear an old woman calling your name after dark, pray Maman Celeste finds you before the betides of the swamp do. If you enjoy stories about the Atchafalaya Basin, Cajun legends, and dark folklore, then again I'll ask you to please subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and leave us a comment. It helps the channel more than you'll ever know. Please join us again when we come to you with another story from Tales of the Atchafalaya. Have a great day and God bless.